Everyone is familiar with the classic movie, but few remember the sequel, Son of Kong, that happened to be released the same year as the original. In fact, just 9 months had passed since King Kong was released, and in order to keep up the audience's excitement, a sequel was rushed into production. I guess movie studios were not quite ready yet to release sequels within a year, not like what happens in today's market. Directed by Ernest Schoedsack, Son of Kong would tell the tale of Carl Denham's escape from the fallout of King Kong's rampage through New York. To avoid the consequences, he travels to the Orient with the captain of the Ventura, where they meet Hilda and her father, who own a small performing monkey show. Hilda's father had a drinking problem, and one night a fight breaks out leading to a fire, during which Hilda releases the monkeys and finds herself alone. During the aftermath, Carl Denham bumps into the man who sold him the map to Skull Island all those years ago, where they learn of lost treasure. Intrigued by this, Denham and co travel to the island, where they discover Hilda has stowed away on board, and in the jungles of the island, they find a young albino ape, which Denham likes to call Little Kong, and finally, the adventure begins. Robert Armstrong, who played Carl Denham, would return alongside others who'd worked on the original film. He was once quoted saying he preferred the second film, stating that the sequel offered his character more development over the course of its story. The composer of the original Kong, Max Steiner, would also return, as well as one of the screenwriters from the original film, called Ruth Rose, who was quoted saying, "If you can't make it bigger, make it funnier," when discussing her approach to Son of Kong. Willis O'Brien was also brought back to helm the effects, but due to its extremely short production, much of the film's effects would take place in the last 25% of the film. The creatures that appear this time though are Little Kong, obviously, a cave bear, an Archaeopteryx, a Nothosaurus, a Elasmosaurus, and a Styracosaurus, which actually was originally going to appear in the first King Kong, blocking the characters off on the log as Kong attacks from the opposite side of the canyon. However, it was cut, and whatever footage there was has now been lost or yet to surface. Peter Jackson would actually homage this animal in the extended cut of his remake, where a group of humans are attacked by a ceratopsian species of dinosaur. I do enjoy Son of Kong despite the obviously rushed feeling that the film has. 75% of the movie is set in enclosed sets with characters discussing rather irrelevant stuff. Only when they arrive on Skull Island does the film really pick up. If I'm honest, the comedic elements in this film are a little jarring compared to how serious the original was. However, it does make for a refreshing take on that world. For a film that was created within 9 months, there's not much to complain about. Carl Denham is a great character, and it's nice to see that he's changed from the events from King Kong. The other characters are fine. Hilda is refreshing, but the others are not really that memorable. Aside from Little Kong, of course. I mean, how could anyone forget that guy? The film ends with our characters discovering the treasure within the ruins of a lost civilization and battling off the creatures who live there. They escape the island as it sinks into the ocean, with Little Kong using his final moments to save Carl Denham's life. A somber and heartfelt finale for Denham's character and the story of Kong. It's moments like this where the comedy actually helps, as you don't expect them to kill off a lovable Kong compared to the more terrifying version seen in the original. The island sinking would also be an idea which carried on into the 2005 remake, but with more backstory. But we'll get to that in future files. Anyway, we have some ways to go as yet, so next up we enter the 60s, where the king meets a god. Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video. I'd just like to suggest visiting my Patreon page, the link is in the description under this video, where you can learn how to support, or not support if you don't want to, my animated dinosaur series which I'm currently working on called Dino Defenders Extreme. The link is in the description below as I've just mentioned, so there we go.